Hey everybody, what is one of the biggest issues that most people who own a Super C RV on an S2 RV chassis talk about? And that is suspension problems. Sway, rocking back and forth, things of that nature. You're driving down the road and it's all over the place. You're transitioning out of parking lots, you're rocking like this. We tackled two of the biggest things that you could possibly do, and that is put the new Koni Shocks on here and the motion control units. After owning the Jeep for almost 5 years now and running all those miles, I just felt it was time we changed the pads. I'm very happy we did. Went with a set of Power Stop pads off Amazon, nice and simple to order. And a lot of people like going with Power Stop pads. So Power Stop right off Amazon, severe duty truck and toe brake pads, nice and thick. And again, they were really simple to put on. I'm not going to go through step by step and all that stuff. Just saying, if you don't think you can do it, you can do it. It really wasn't that hard to do it. So, what else did we do yesterday? We decided to upgrade some stuff on the motorhome that really is a heavily talked about topic. If you're on the Facebook groups, there are 3 different Facebook groups for the Jayco, Entegra, Super C, Accolades, and Senecas. They talk, this is a almost daily post from different people out there about why does the coach rock back and forth so much? When you're transitioning out of parking lots, driving down the road, you get a lot of sway. Listen, folks, these aren't Cadillacs. They're not designed to ride like Cadillacs. They are a truck chassis. This is a truck, and it's going to move like a truck. But there are things you can do to help it. So I'm going to preface this with saying we have almost 32,000 miles on our motorhome after owning it for 3 years. So I decided it was time, after reading all of the Facebook posts and seeing different things that people were talking about. There are like 5 major upgrades that most people make to the suspension. We did 2 of them yesterday. And I'm going to see how well these 2 upgrades really make the difference to see if I like the ride or maybe Megan likes the ride a little bit better. So 2 of the biggest things are, the first one is the motion control units. There's a company out there called Henderson's Lineup. They are represented at all the big motorhome shows or RV shows, the one in Tampa, the one in Hershey. They're based out of Oregon, and they've made these things called motion control units, or MCUs. That's how you're going to see them referenced on a lot of the Facebook posts or whatever. I've talked to them in person. I've met them at a rally. We've talked about these things. It is a check valve. That's all it really is a check valve that goes in the airline between the motorhome and the airbag. And you basically cut the airline and insert this check valve. And it's basically you just take the tube and push it in to the MCU. And I'm going to kind of give you, since they're already on there, I can't give you the actual visual representation, but here's about the best thing I can show you is the box. And Henderson's Lineup works with a company called Super Steer, or they own Super Steer. And these are the ones that are specific to our chassis. The S2RV chassis has rear airbags only. Some coaches have front and rear. Some coaches have multiple airbags on the front and the rear. So this is a product that is used across the line of pretty much any motorhome that uses an air suspension. And like I said, the hose, the air hose, basically goes in one side and in the other side, and it creates a check valve to balance the pressure between the airbags so you don't get that huge amount of sway. Without them, the air can kind of ballast between the 2 bags and you get this type of effect. With these in there, it checks it up and it makes the ride a lot more stiffer or rigid from the sway to side. Ridiculously simple to put in. We used one tool. Most RVers are going to have these. It's a PEX cutter, basically, right? It's like, one of those guillotine style little things. I'm not going to stick a finger in there or anything to demonstrate, but it's a tube cutter, basically. And you just grab it and cut it, because when you install these, you have to have a very clean 90-degree cut. The other big thing that they tell you in the instructions is to clean the line. No dirt, no debris, no residue, and a clean cut. That's why we use one of these. This is it. This is all we needed to do it. Find the line, cut it. We cut about that much tubing off of each side, the left and the right, and then stuck the motion control units right on. I don't know how much more simpler that could have gotten. So let's go out to the RV really quick. I'm going to show you these. So here we are out at the side of the RV. Now, the one other biggest step that you want to do before putting your MCUs on, you need to take the air out of the bags. You can't cut a line full of air pressure. You're going to have, it's going to, so you have to empty the airbags. How do I empty the airbags? I put the rear levelers down, and it automatically releases the air out of the lines. So you're going to see, I've got my leveling jacks down in the driveway here at the stable. The stable where I keep all of my vehicles, because we have 4 of them, and I've got the jacks down. We've let the air out. Now we're going to show you where these they're gold. So when we look at them, where the MCUs sit in relation to the line and the airbag. You shimmy yourself on underneath here, and you're going to see you've got, to get a little closer, we've got our airbags here, and I can tell that the airbag's got no pressure in it because I'm pushing on it, right? So you can see that. Up in here, and from my vantage point right now, I can't exactly see it, but you'll see where we cut the line and installed the MCU unit, the motion control unit. Again, literally, it was that simple. Cut the line, make a space of a tube about that big, and just push them together. You crimp them together, and it automatically locks on. So you've got the one on the passenger side airbag, and then you've got the one over here on the driver's side airbag, which I can see. That's it. Air it up, test it for leaks. All right, so testing for leaks, right? Just like anything else that you test for leaks that uses pressure, like a gas line or other air pressure things, use a little soapy water. You put that soapy water in a squirt bottle or on a rag, rub it on there, spray it on there, and look for air bubbles. Once we found that we had no air leaks, no bubbles were coming out, we aired up the system again and just checked everything else over again, make sure everything was clean, and that was it. It was ridiculously simple. Something that just about anybody could do because it's really not that hard. So you know how I was talking about cutting the hose, right? This is basically the hose. I think it's 3/8, and I don't know if that's OD or ID, but this is how much we cut out of the line to put the MCU in place. So there's a lot of different brands of shocks out there, right? And we went with Koni Shocks. Koni is a major manufacturer of shock absorbers for things of this nature. Cars, I believe they do too. There's another brand, HD Shocks, out there. There's a couple other brands that I know of. But one of our group experts in the Facebook group worked with Henderson's lineup to help develop these Koni Shocks. And these are specific to the S2RV chassis. Previous versions of this, I believe, had to use some shims to get them to fit right. Don't quote me on that. Again, I'm not a mechanical expert, but there was something about them where they fit, just didn't fit really perfectly. These worked phenomenally well, and we had no issues with the installation. So again, some basic Konis. You've got the model numbers down here, 9905 1038, and 9905 1037 is, I believe, the other one. So you're going to need 2 of each, basically, one for the two for the front, 2 for the back, passenger and driver side. These were simple to put on. Only a few tools required. We're going to step on over to the workbench here. What did I use to put these on? Impact wrench, Milwaukee impact wrench. Worked just fine. No issues. This is a 1/2-inch drive, so this was good. We used everybody's favorite tool, a rubber mallet, so you can beat something. I bought a 1 1/8 inch impact socket, a 1/2-inch drive, obviously, to fit onto the impact, and one really big wrench. This is the biggest wrench I personally own. Again, a 1 1/8 open end with the 12 point on the other side. So this was it. This is all I needed. I did have a friend. It is really, really helpful to have 2 people doing this job, especially on the rear. And we're going to go over to the RV and talk about that. So here we are out at the rear end. We started with the rear end because it's harder. And the reason it's harder, it's a lot tighter to squeeze in and out of here. On the Facebook groups, I've seen a couple different people talk about a few different things that they did. One guy, which I thought was cool, he took this body panel and unscrewed it, lifted it up. He also talked about taking off the mud guard, the flapper back here. We didn't do any of that. We didn't feel the need to do it. My friend who was here, who again is extremely mechanical, said, we don't need to take off. That's extra stuff we don't need to do. What you have to have is some long arms. If you are probably under 6 foot, you're going to have a really hard time reaching this because, again, your wingspan equals your height, right? So if you're 6'2", 6'3", it's going to give you a good advantage. But I'm using this, and we're going to use it as a pointer. We lifted the RV up on the jacks, all right? We needed to create a gap between the tire and the bottom of this body panel. And basically, so we could reach in here and get to the top nut and bolt of the assembly, right? So we got all the way in here, and you can see it's back over this way. And we probably lifted a little higher than it currently is. But you can see I'm kind of pointing at it with the wrench there. And we got one end of this on the nuts, the bolt side of it over here. And then we used the impact to unscrew the other side. So again, this is why 2 people were needed. I was out here holding the wrench on, and my friend was underneath using the impact to basically get that off. Now, the mallet came in handy on the tops because that top bolt didn't want to come out, on especially the passenger side. It was just a little stuck. So we took the mallet and we pounded that bolt out. We got it out pretty quickly. On the bottom, again, he was able to do it by himself because it's kind of in a harder spot for 2 people to reach. But he just held the one end and impacted the other end off, and the shock popped right off. People were reporting on Facebook that, this was 2-3 hours to do the rears. I think we had the rears done, both sides, in about an hour. So one guy who's not mechanically inclined, one guy who is, and we got it done with simple tools. All right, here again with my trusty pointer. On the front, we did something similar with the jacks. We put the jacks down and lifted the front end up a touch. It helps with a little bit of extra reach, but the fronts are exceptionally easier than the rears. I mean, I probably could have done the fronts by myself, but again, it's good having your friends here. So when you open the hood and you expose all the bits and pieces, now we didn't move the tires, we didn't rotate anything. This RV hasn't moved in a week. We did all this work with it in place, plugged in the driveway. So don't think you've got to start wiggling tires around and everything else. So the fronts are right here. You can see them right there. And I'm going to use my wrench as my pointer here. You've got this bolt here, and then you got the bolt end on the back and the nut end on the front. A little bit of WD-40 as one of our friends, and we were able to get this right off. He came in, we did it as 2 people. You could do it as 1. He came in from underneath and used the wrench here to come in behind it while I did the impact from the top, and we just zipped it right off. Same thing on the bottom. When you're looking at the bottom side of this, again, really simple. He came in from the other side with the wrench. I came in from this side with the impact, and we zipped it right off. We had these 2 front done in like 20 minutes. That simple, nothing fancy, not hard at all. This was a relatively easy job. It's hot. Oof. The hood's hot, people. Don't touch it. It's in the sun. Some other people in the group, you're going to read a lot of different ways on Facebook. When you get on Facebook, everybody becomes a mechanical engineer. I am not. And I will tell you that I'm not. Some people talked about using Loctite to put those on. And I know there's 2 different types of Loctite. There's the red and the blue. One of the Facebook posters that talked about using red Loctite. Red Loctite is permanent, never coming off again. I didn't want to do that. We had talked about it. I purchased it. But in order to get that off again, now you're talking about torching it off. Just something I didn't want to go through. Another thing that was talked about is torquing them down. My friend, who is worked on many cars, rebuilt motors, engines, taken things apart, currently working on building his own shed. He did not want us to torque them down. He says, we took them off with an impact, we can put them on with an impact, and it will be just fine. It won't be over or under, it will stay on. So we didn't really torque them. But again, that's up to you. So let's talk first about the purchase of these parts. I bought them directly from Super Steer. which is part of the Henderson's lineup group. You can go on their websites. They're all kind of linked. They gave us a slight discount. They offer a lot of 5% discounts here or there. I think I've seen as high as 7% on certain parts. But your front shocks and your rear shocks were $619 for the front and $619 for the rear. And then your MCUs, those motion control units, are $250. All right, with the discount, and I don't think there's any taxes on here because they don't have a physical location. I'm in Illinois. They don't have a physical location here, so you don't get charged taxes. My total with the 5% off was $1,417. $1,417. I really didn't think that was too bad. I've seen some higher price stuff out there. I think the HD shocks are like double the price of this. But again, it's just a different brand. You can go with whatever you like. Installation. You can take it to Freightliner, sure, and pay their absolutely ridiculous labor rates at Freightliner. Why? Because they're going to charge you a motorhome rate. I've seen motorhome rates from $235 an hour to $329 an hour at my local Freightliner 20 minutes from here. That's nuts. Absolutely crazy. You can find yourself a very reputable local mechanic, which I have. I have a great diesel local mechanic about 10 minutes from my house. He has a much lower rate. I think his rate is somewhere around $170 an hour. Again, it's still a lot of money. And what would he have charged me for this? I'm going to guess 2 hours for the shocks and an hour for the MCUs. I mean, I could have paid $600 to $1,000 just in labor to have these put on. I've had other friends who've done all 5 of the major suspension upgrades, and they've paid upwards of several $1,000s to have this installed. I felt that I could do this on my own. Again, a novice guy with basic tools, nothing fancy. I had to go to my local AutoZone to buy a couple things, but we did it all. The brakes, the shocks, and the MCUs. We started at 9:30 in the morning. We were completely finished by 12:45 in the afternoon. So what's that? 3 to 4 hours for all of that. Done, finished. All it cost me was some extra parts and the pieces. I think that's a win-win for us over here at the Captain's Garage, and I hope it can be a win-win for you guys. Watch this video, like it, comment, talk to us about this. This is a really hot topic on all of the groups. I did this video so that maybe I could help the novice guy who doesn't work on a lot of stuff say that it is possible, because it is. It's important. Try to do it. I've tried to do a bunch of different things. I installed these steel bumpers on the Jeep myself. I've done some stuff around my house. I keep saying this because I'm really not, but I'm not afraid to try it. And that is one of the coolest things. We did it. It's done. I hope that this helps you do it. So go out and do it. Do that thing for yourself. Motivate yourself to do this work yourself, because it can be really rewarding and really satisfying and save you a whole lot of money. So get on that.